Chapter 6868 to 6869. While moving down the hallway of Angkor Vantion, Kuroto squinted his eyes and thought of Danzo, and as he thought of Danzo, something else came into his mind. The rinnegan. Thinking of the rinnegan, Kuroto took out the small capsule from his pocket and looked at the pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan floating inside it. From his observation of this pair of Sharingan, Kuroto can clearly see that after absorbing the yin-yang chakra from Danzo's ritual, the visual prowess of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan has improved quite a lot. In fact, it can even be said that the pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan in his hand is only a step away from evolving into the rinnegan. Just the right trigger is required, and it will be done. This makes Kuroto quite delighted. Even if Kuroto already possesses the Tenseigan, he is still very excited to think that the rinnegan with the power to distort the boundaries of life and death is within his reach. But Kuroto can't yet judge whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, because along with the increased visual prowess, even the independent will that the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan carries within has also become stronger and more active. And this independent will deeply affects Homusubi's thought process. Even while she was hiding in the woods and observing the conversation between the Raikage and Hamu, she had to put a lot of effort into controlling the greed she was feeling at that time. The independent will in her eyes was urging her to steal Danzo's eyes, even if it risked all her plans, and it took too much effort on her part to control that greed. Ha! After a deep exhale, Kuroto put back the capsule in his hand inside his pocket and smiled. He now has a new plan in his mind, and that plan involves the use of rinnegan. Based on his understanding of the Chimera Jutsu up until now, Kuroto has concluded that no matter how much improvement is made in Chimera Jutsu, undergoing the Kekkei Genkai absorption ritual is an extremely risky process with no guarantee of 100% success. Therefore, having a pair of rinnegan in his hand is a good practice, as it would provide him with reassurance that if something unexpected happens to him and he dies, he can at least be brought back to life with the help of Rinna Rebirth. This also means that Danzo must be eliminated, as Kuroto would need that pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan in his eye sockets to create the rinnegan. It's just that Kuroto feels quite weird about Danzo's situation, especially his conversation with the Yondaime Raikage Ai. In fact, by that time, Kuroto had already understood the gist behind Danzo's strange behavior. From what Kuroto has observed, the reason behind Danzo's strange behavior was the unexpected change in the ritual that was brought by Orochimaru's cursed seal that he secretly planted in Danzo's body. That cursed seal was obviously not the right solution to the problem of fusion of souls. Natural energy eroded all the souls, and Danzo's own soul wasn't spared. Although his soul recovered with the awakening of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, however, once something is broken, then even if it is repaired, there are always cracks left behind, and those cracks in Danzo's soul are the cause of his strange behavior. The other souls in his body were not completely eroded by the natural energy, they are still present inside his body. And since Danzo doesn't seem to have any power to suppress them for the time being, therefore, those souls are able to manifest themselves from the cracks in his soul. This is the only reasoning Kuroto has come up with to explain why Danzo showed several different personalities in such a short amount of time. Thinking of this, Kuroto summoned a crow and wrote a message to Yagura. If Kuroto's guess is indeed correct, then among the 5 souls present inside Danzo's body, only 4 of them have manifested so far during the battle. The first soul manifested itself while Danzo used crystal release jutsu to cut off the tree roots that were holding the volcano in order to escape. The coordination and planning he used highlighted that the soul that was in control of Danzo's body had some experience as a shinobi, but not too much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen to do things so messily. The second soul appeared when Danzo slaughtered Kumogakure shinobi and showed an excited expression. At that time, the battle prowess of Danzo was very poor. This was definitely the soul of someone who was just a civilian, without any understanding of how shinobi fights. The third soul appeared when Danzo was heavily punched by Rikage's Thunder Axe, but survived and then used vapor-release jutsu. At that time, Danzo's temperament had again changed. He showed the calmness of a shinobi and displayed good battle tactics. And finally, the fourth soul manifested when Danzo suddenly stopped his battle with the Kumogakure shinobi and identified himself as Hamu. One of the souls has yet to manifest itself, but it doesn't really matter all that much. What's important is that if the soul of Kirigakure shinobi inside Danzo's body is manifested, then there is a good probability that Danzo might try to run away from Kumogakure and go to Kirigakure. Kuroto is not sure if this will really happen. It's just a possibility. Precisely why Kuroto informed Yagura of the situation and instructed him to be prepared in advance so that encircling Danzo becomes more accessible. As for the possibility that Hamu aka Danzo will not leave Kumogakure, Kuroto highly doubts it. Raikage has indeed taken Hamu to Kumogakure, but Raikage is no fool. Obviously, he won't give Hamu the kind of treatment Danzo might be expecting. This is Shinobi World, where benefits are the first priority. Moreover, even if Raikage is willing to give shelter to Hamu, he wouldn't do so without complete reassurance that he won't be a danger to the village and that he will be helpful to the village because nobody wants to carry baggage. And even if he is willing to provide shelter to Hamu, the senior staff of Kumogakure wouldn't allow it to happen so easily. Therefore, the most likely thing to happen to Hamu is that he will be locked up in some dark cell or tied to a test bench, and then his nightmare will start. Kuroto believes that Danzo should also understand this. As such, he won't dare stay in Kumogakure any more than necessary. This is more evident from the fact that while Hamu explained Raikage quite a lot of things related to the ritual, he didn't mention a thing about wood release and eternal Mangekyu Sharingan that Danzo can use. Knowing this, Kuroto's worries in regards to the safety of the pair of eternal Mangekyu Sharingan also diminished, because at this point in time, other than him, Orochimaru, and Danzo, no one is aware of the presence of eternal Mangekyu Sharingan in Danzo's eye sockets. As soon as Kuroto returned to the village, he sensed the tense atmosphere of the village. The security of the outer wall was much stricter than a few days ago. In fact, the number of guards had almost doubled as compared to what Kuroto remembers, and not only that, even a few perception barriers that aren't easily deployed were also activated. This tight security also caused problems for Kuroto, as it took quite a lot of effort on his part to sneak inside the village without alerting any barrier. Of course, he was able to pass through without any trouble and made his way toward the Konoha Ninja Academy. After entering the principal office, Kuroto deactivated the shadow clone he left behind and hurriedly sorted out all the memories that were experienced by the shadow clone. With that done, Kuroto smiled slightly, walked towards the window of the principal office, and muttered while looking towards the Hokage building. Surprisingly, the village's response wasn't slow either. According to the memories of the shadow clone, not long ago, Sandaime Hokage gathered hundreds of shinobi present inside the Konoha village and hurriedly led them outside the village. Obviously, the location where Sandaime is headed is the volcano where Danzo's Keki Genkai absorption ritual took place. Kuroto is so sure about this because other than that, it doesn't make any sense for Sandaime to hurriedly rush out of the village with such a large force, given that the Akatsuki organization has not made any move recently, and nor does any other village has taken any aggressive action Konoha in the recent times. Kuroto muttered with a thoughtful expression. Well, this is no surprise. The chakra transmission array used over 1,500 Konoha shinobi. Obviously, Sandaime would be able to track them one way or another. Despite the measures Danzo took to cover up the transfer of Konoha shinobi outside the village, his secret maneuvers were discovered by Sandaime, which means that it is impossible to bypass everyone's eyes. As long as people are involved, it is impossible to achieve complete secrecy. This has further strengthened Kuroto's determination to carry out his Kekkei Genkai absorption ritual alone. Only then will his ritual not be discovered or tracked by anyone and ensure total safety and non-interruption. Thinking so, Kuroto held his chin and muttered with a thoughtful expression. I should put learning Yin Seal and 8 inner gates to the agenda. Kuroto has thought of learning 8 inner gates even before. Not only will this be beneficial to him in terms of chakra level while the gates are open, but learning 8 inner gates will also increase his physical strength, which will help him overcome the only problem he has been facing in perfectly mastering Senjutsu. Therefore, it's time for Kuroto to delve into learning the 8 inner gates technique. Kuroto knows that the 8 inner gates jutsu is different compared to all the other forbidden jutsu out there. Unlike others, mastering this jutsu requires regular training. Only daily training, grinding, and constantly breaking through their limits allow the user to be able to make progress in the 8 inner gates formation. According to Kuroto's estimation, the first 6 gates are pretty useless to Kuroto. Even now, with his pure physical strength, Kuroto can compete with Guy while he has opened 6 of 8 gates. Therefore, what's Kuroto's target is to breach the 7th and, more importantly, the 8th gate before the ritual. But Kuroto also knows that opening the 7th and 8th gates will be an incredibly hard process for him. I mean, just look at Might Guy. He has been training himself for the past 15 years, and even then, he has only opened the 7th gate. The 8th gate is still far too ahead. This goes to show how much effort and training is required to open the 8th gate. This is why Kuroto needs to immediately start his training, because if he doesn't, then it is very likely that all of his chakra clones will be created, but he won't be able to open all the 8 gates. Creating the Yin Seal is just as important for him as the 8 inner gate technique, so the sooner he starts working on it, the better for him, as he will be able to start accumulating chakra. The chakra reserves of current Kuroto are far higher compared to Tsunadeheim. Therefore, his efficiency in collecting chakra will be much better than hers, and he will be able to collect large volumes of chakra in a very short period of time. Kuroto isn't sure how much chakra he will be able to gather, but it should amount to at least something. Danzo, Yin Seal, 8 inner gate formation, and of course the Earth Chakra Nature Clone. All of these are important matters that I have to work upon, muttered Kuroto. Among the 4 tasks before him, he can learn the 8 inner gates formation from Guy. Might Guy is a good friend, so there won't be any problem with it. Kuroto knows that as long as he approaches Guy with the intention of wanting to learn it, Guy will definitely teach him. And the other 2 matters are also not that problematic. Cultivating the Earth Chakra Nature Clone is going to take some time, so that's not urgent. As for dealing with Danzo, it is also not of immediate concern as it's going to take some time and planning. But the matter of learning Yin Seal is a bit troublesome. Or should it be said that rather than learning Yin Seal, obtaining it is a more troublesome task. As Kuroto was wondering how to get his hands on Yin Seal, he suddenly thought of a method. Perhaps I can ask Yui to help me. She is Tsunadeheim's disciple. There is a good chance that Tsunade-sama won't deny her request. Thinking of this, Kuroto planned to go to Konoha Hospital and ask for her help, but just as he was about to jump out of the window, Shisui hurriedly rushed into his office and said, Kuroto-san, Danzo-sama. He defected.